probably thousands of different species of dimensional creatures out there, like insects, dimensional insects. They could be like, I don't know what you call it. We call these beings if you were on their own dimension. I don't know, but you know what I mean. I just think it's, as I said, they're on different frequencies. I think you just sometimes you tap into it, and this person was tapping into it. Like, seems another quite a pretty genuine story as well. It seems to me. It's very believable, I think, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Quite interesting as well, thought-provoking, you know?
Yeah. I can see it as being trans-dimensional, you know, but I just, like, that doesn't really reflect on the shadow people. Like, the beginning of it was, you know, shadow people or dimensional travelers. I'd go with dimensional travelers, if anything, so... Because...
Yeah, I wouldn't. These are totally different to shadow people, you know.
Yeah.
I would say, from what you said, they seem totally different. They seem. I don't know what to. It's hard to put into words, really. But yeah, they're different again. This is a different species again. It's like your archaeologist finding new bones and fossils and stuff. This is like a new species to me. So it's like. Definitely, I would say, not species, but beings, then, you know, to say.
Yeah.
You know.
It's interesting. All right.
Yeah, it is for sure. So I can see them in my mind, you know, you're talking about actually you can see them, it's just quite fascinating, you know. Yeah, it is.
The part about the legs bending backwards, too, like, that is pretty interesting. Like, that's a, well, physically they would be more advanced physical being than us too, because like if our legs could bend backwards, we'd be able to climb and run faster and stuff like that. So that's what really interested me there. But they're only 4 feet tall. Wow. And 4 fingers. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I've saved the last one, or the big one, for last. This is the last one, but it's 4 parts. And it's called Haunted by a Black Cloak Entity. So let me pull that up. And we can get started on that one. Experiences with dark oak. Hooded entities seem to be relatively common in the reports of ghost-like beings. Usually, but not always, they appear in the dead of night in the shadow corners of a room. They can be intimidated, foreboding, and downright terrifying. Are they products of the deep recess of our imagination where fear and uncertainty lie? Archetypes of what we dread about the unknown? Or are they real entities from some twilight dimensions with some nefarious agenda we cannot comprehend? To those who encounter them, like the author of the story that follows, there may be no difference whatever these things are. They haunted his consciousness for years. This is his story. This black cloak hooded entity has visited me at least 4 times in my life. I believe it all began after I bought a kid's puzzle game that showed a black cloaked hooded entity, skeleton in a black cloak with an A symbol on its skull, forehead, and the title is Alchemist. In September 1997, when I was a kid, I was watching an episode of Zorro on TV with my mother when Zorro became a black-cloaked hero to scare his enemies. He made this sound, whoa, or some stuff like that. That night at 4 a.m., I was awake on my bed when the bedroom door opened, and I heard this exact same sound, but I knew the TV was turned off and everyone was asleep. I knew the sound. I knew this sounded crazy, but it was real. Alright, yeah, I knew this sounded crazy, but it was real. I stood up on my bed to see outside the door, and I knew that it was a real ghost this time. But it was too dark. But it was too dark that I did not see anything. But I know that something was there. I tried to ignore it and lay back down on my bed and closed my eyes to sleep. Suddenly I became paralyzed and could not move, while I could hear a strange sound that sounded like a high-pitched airplane engine, and I could see a pathway image in my head as if I was moving at a very high speed. It was terrifying, or perhaps this entity had the power to control my emotions. I was frightened to the point that I was able to get control of my hands, so I rubbed my eyes very fast to get the image away, but then I became paralyzed again. However, the image and sound were gone, and the new image appeared that showed a tree and a grass line with two people who were talking about something. I was not frightened anymore, so I smiled to show the ghost that I was not afraid. So the image disappeared, and I was able to open my eyes and move again. It seemed that the ghost had a power over me, and I was afraid. But when I was not afraid of it, then the ghost could not do much. Now see, like right there, that's what I was saying. I mean, to me, I'll keep reading on, but to me in that part right there, I think they're mixing up what a shadow person is. Well, he's actually saying a black cloaked entity. He's not specific.
The angel of death, and it's the angel of death and the angel of life, the angel of rebirth. That's right. What they're saying. There's a guy that calls himself Cameron. Well, he takes different forms. When I first met him, and I apologize for being gone. Somebody stole my cat last night. Wow. Yeah, like such a joy. Oh, but they brought her back when we left. Isn't that amazing? Like, I guess when I pop off at the mouth crazily and start posting wild stuff, all of a sudden stuff aligns. Yeah, so anyway, I was handling that. She's back now, and she's scared for her life. But no, I met this guy, and when he was in the dark, he had a black cloak, and it was right when Corona started, and he had a hood on his head. And I was really sick at the time, and I felt like I was just like, I was like, oh, you've come to take my life. I said, you're the angel of death. I could look. He was my Lyft or Uber, I think it was Lyft, driver first, and it went from him being my Lyft driver to he wanted to chill. We chilled, and when he came to chill with me, when he came to the door, like he had on shirts and a t-shirt in real life, but what I saw of him was, like I said, the cloak and the hood, and even all but the shaft. And I looked at him and I asked him, I said, are you here to take my life? And he was like, no, more or less. And after that, it kind of shocked him. Like I said, I was sick at the time. I was coughing, stuff like that. And after that encounter, everything kind of went away. And it's one of those things, I guess, because I kind of confronted the situation, and as a result of the confrontation, it was more or less it decided, or it kind of controlled what the results were. I don't want to say it designated the destiny, but not so much. But it was one of those things to where he looked like the angel of death, the exact thing that they're talking about, the black cloak figure. But that's what I mean by these shadow people, quote unquote, take on different forms. And they'll say it's a demon, but how I've been like harping about for forever, and it's just research that's out there as well for all those people who are like, I have to see it in writing from someone else's experience, not from my own. They're Omega and Alpha, Alpha and Omega, those are within yourself. So demons that project outside have been created within. Like, we have lower level frequencies, higher level frequencies. There are no such thing as demons. They are just lower level energies operating on a lower level of existence. It's like the planes of heaven, quote unquote. Whereas we all go to heaven. Everyone believes that there's this place called hell. Hell, by definition, is just chaos and confusion. So the world right now, the world as they're asleep, I won't say unawake or unenlightened, more so, that's your hell. That's what hell is. And we all end up in heaven, quote unquote, but in the form of reincarnation. But this is only paralleled through dimensions. So you don't really have to finitely definitively die, in the sense that we're used to hearing as to how life is expanded or or expanded or like dissolved. We don't, those things do not exist. But it's, and I know it sounds crazy to come from me and say, well, you're just one person, how can you? But we've accepted this as a destiny for ourselves. We've accepted this as something real for ourselves. We accepted this as being something real for ourselves. We made it to where now all we have are these things to stand on because we created it. And it had to be, this is what death looks like. But it's really because people knew then that the transferring of energy granted power. So more, the shadow beings, quote unquote, that we see are ancestors that just have not taken a new form, or existences who have not reincarnated to physical form. But they are, to the extent, because isn't physical allegedly something you can see? At that case, if it's in the physical 3 dimension, it technically has, but has only maintained partial of its full identity. So it's still here, it's still present, but it's not, you're just not at a level to be able to associate with it or touch it or actually see it, because it has to be, it's like the Indians with the ship when the Pilgrims came. They had no idea what they were looking at or what they were looking for until it was in their face right here. These shadow people do not want to be seen by you. You're not going to know what you're dealing with. It's always going to be, I think I saw something type of thing. When you're talking about the angel of death, like what they're speaking of, like you always hear about the Reaper and stuff like that, but it's literally your mind accepting something that you could either say, hey, no, this is not how this works. And I only, like I said, I've told you guys, I've died before a few different times, but the most specific one was with the skull incident. And I was literally hovering over my body, and I was looking at myself hover over my body and being able to travel. But for me, it was just unfathomable. Even when I got shot, there was no way. I got shot in the back of my head. For a long time, I could feel where the bullet went in, where the bullet came out. You could see in my car where the bullet went out. And it was crazy because it's just one of those things to where the only thing that's going to be able to happen is stuff that you accept. That's why control of the mind is so important to people, because they know that they can have you to think anything that they would like you to think if you don't believe your thoughts are significant enough. So make it to where there's an angel of death, or make it to where there's this shadow man. Instead of facing it head on, what are you? Why are you here? Asking it questions, backing it down. You're feeling backed into a corner because we use fear as a tactic of control. So you see something like that,